Hey guys, good day. Magandang araw sa inyo. And today we'll be working on a spy hunter. So when you hear the term spy hunter, what immediately comes to mind is something that's stealthy, fast, basically a hunter. Okay, so for my take on the spy hunter, I think I'd like to use the silhouette of a jaguar, something that looks really fast and deadly. Okay, so let's go. Okay, so while I'm drawing this, I think I'd like to share with you my thoughts on why being employed has actually helped me survive as a freelance artist. So, 2 weeks ago marked my fifth year into freelancing full time, and it just so happened that my wife and we noticed that there are some artists who rant on their social media accounts about their day jobs. Nagrereklamo sila. And this got us into a discussion about how our day jobs actually help us prepare for going into freelancing full time. Now, I just realized that I haven't really introduced myself in any of the videos that I've posted, so sorry about that. I'm Brian Sevilla and I'm currently 34. I'm a freelance illustrator at the moment, and I primarily draw robots and comics with robots in them for third-party transformer companies, while also doing a bit of work as a shirt designer and illustrator for mobile games and books. In the past, I've worked in fashion retail, advertising, animation, and game development. I'm married, my wife is Christelle, and she's a freelancer as well, and she's an online entrepreneur. She has her own Etsy store. I'll be putting the link below on the description, so please do check out her store. And we work from our own studio here in the Philippines. We're both based in Malabon, so now that we're married, we still live in Malabon, so we haven't really gone too far. Anyway, so we saw some of our friends on FB ranting about their day jobs. Now I understand that day jobs are often tedious and taxing, nakapagod, especially if you're in a job that you don't like to be in. I was there when I was starting out way back. Okay, so if you're an artist and you work in a job that's in a totally different field, then it's really hard to get the energy to wake up and go to work. I understand completely and I can relate. This is because I work in fashion retail for more than 3 years, and it's an industry that I appreciate, but I do not really want to be in because the whole time that I was there, all I wanted to do was draw robots and other fantasy stuff, make some comics and all. But at that time, way back, I think that was 2006, it was the only viable job for me, or I've convinced myself that it was the only good job for me. So I totally relate. Good thing people there were nice. Anyway, what I find weird is that people just rant about their jobs in Facebook and in their social media accounts. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm telling you to not do this when you really want to vent out your frustrations and all, but I'd like to reconsider before posting. Mag-isip-isip ka muna. Because if you're wanting to go freelance, what you post online can really affect your prospects, especially when a prospective client sees your feed. Most people I work with now, I communicate with them through Facebook and email, but mostly it's Facebook. Potential clients will see your wall and they will look at your rants and think that there's something wrong with your attitude towards work. Now, if I were eyeing you to work on a project for me and I see you ranting about your day job, about how you're not growing there or how stressful your workday is, blah blah blah, it would give me the impression that you're very hard to work with. Ayaw kitang makatrabaho. I'm not saying that you are. It's that I can assume, based on what little I know of you, that you are exactly just like that. This would greatly limit your ability to get clients. So if I were you, I think it would be best to really think twice before you post. Or if you really want to, make sure that you've taken into consideration how it will affect your image as a professional, because really, I personally find ranting online about your day job as really amateurish. Now, while we're on the topic of day jobs, I find that those who are good employees tend to survive better in the freelancing world. I've worked with people who, for lack of a better term, I'd label as lazy in the workplace. tamad. Now, these are the people who spend a lot of time walking around the office, chatting and browsing online when there really is work that needs to get done. Often, ito yung mga taong mareklamo. They just express their disgust in the workplace a lot, and these are the same type of people who really wish to go out and strike out on their own. And often when they do, they find that freelancing is not as easy as it looks, and they give up and go back to their day jobs and just repeat the cycle. Now, I understand that some are acting like this because they are not really happy with their jobs, and I have to admit that I was like this for some time in my first few years of working, but I realized that acting like this will not help me. If I wanted to be able to strike out on my own, I needed to understand that I needed to pretend that I owned the company, and that whatever I did there affects the overall profitability of the company, and doing anything less than what was expected of me, within reasonable bounds of course, is somewhat a form of stealing. Well, I see being employed as a good training ground for eventually setting up your own business or freelancing. Being an employee is like being paid to learn, especially when you're in the same field that you eventually want to get into. In my case, before freelancing, I was in game development. So that was the closest I can get to where I wanted to go. And if your day job is totally unrelated to what you want to do, if that's the case, I recommend you transfer to another job that's closer to what your goal is. If you're not, there you're probably wasting time. Now, anyway, being employed taught me the value of being there on the job when they need you and doing what you need to do, regardless of how and what you feel. Now, it's important that as an artist, you learn how to deal with your moods, that you learn how to work even when you don't feel like doing it, and being an employee reinforces this idea. Kumbaga, wag masyado maarte, okay? Minsan, kapritsyo na lang yun eh. It's useful when you go out on your own because it's easy to get distracted when you're working from home. So it's nice to actually start to discipline yourself when you are in the relative safety of being employed. It's hard to develop this habit when you're already out there on your own. Pretend that your bosses are clients, and if you lead a team, pretend that you own your department. So, ito yung madalas kong gawin. So, this is important because freelance work is basically you serving the needs of other people, and it's the same as you being employed, doing work that helps meet the goals of your company. This is good training because if you are blessed to be working with great leaders, then you immediately get the mentorship that you'll need to help you survive outside. Libreng training, okay? So you try to learn the vision of the company you are working for and pretend that you're part owner, and your job is your area of expertise, crucial in helping your company meet its goals. But then again, there are awful bosses, and when you do get to encounter one, try to get away as fast as you can. They'll make your life miserable, but I'd like to talk about that on another topic. Okay, so while being employed, save up, like really save up. Safe zone would be around 6 months of your living expenses. This will set you up quite well for a few months when you need to look for clients. It will also spare you from getting jobs where you are underpaid and would make you hate freelancing. In my case, after my first project finished, it took me around 3 or so months before I started getting clients again. Granted, during that time, I wasn't actively looking for jobs because I wanted to work on my Marvel samples then. But the fact remained that it still took me quite a while before I got another project because while I was not actively looking, my portfolio was up and not a lot of people were looking. It took a great deal of emailing and setting up accounts in Guru to get back on track of getting work. So make sure that while you are employed, take the time to save up. Also, when I was employed, we took the time to organize an art jam, having realized that we had no new portfolio pieces to show to potential clients. So every 2 weeks, we had to come up with a new digital painting, and this lasted for around more than a year. And this really helped Chris and I get clients for when we would be freelancing. Actually, before we left our day jobs, we already started freelancing for quite a bit on the side, sort of us testing if we could survive on what we would earn from this. The good thing with the day job though was that it was there and it funded this year of preparation for us. We were able to buy books, For one, I took a subscription for Imagine Effects and at the same time was able to buy the gear that we will eventually be needing. So keep your day jobs while you can. Day jobs also teach you to deal with people. There will be jerk bosses and there will be jerk clients. You'll have to learn to deal with the latter, so you better train with the former. I've had a boss who was so meticulous once with documenting stuff to the point that I actually spent more time listing stuff than doing the work that I was getting paid to do. Yeah, it's literally paperwork. This sucked, but at the same time, it made me realize the importance of making lists. So there, I actually followed him and did all that he asked from me until eventually I was allowed to work on my own. I try to believe that bosses are there for reasons that upper management sees. This might be true or not, but this is the way I see it. This does not make me a lapdog or anything. I do try to voice out whenever I feel I should, but it places things in a more positive perspective for me. Freelancing has afforded for me a level of freedom that I would not have had I stayed in the corporate world. As much as I loved being in one, I enjoyed the idea that I do not need to commute anymore and I can choose where I work. With regards to being busy, I think I'm busier now than when I was employed, but at least I get to choose when I'm busy. I'm able to accompany my family when they need me to. And like last year when my dad got hospitalized for a week, I was able to actually stay with him and work. So I think I'll end it here. And guys, please do like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm sorry that this video got delayed. This week has been really, really crazy. So thank you guys and God bless.